Hello everyone, this is SMA Watts. We're going to do a really quick deck tech for standard mono black aggro. We're going to be playing in tonight's player ran event, Friday Night Standard. This deck is almost entirely a block deck, as I'm trying to get my mindset on future standard, which is a nice way of saying I just don't want to pick up Mutavaults right now. Alright, but yeah, the only cards in this deck in the main deck that aren't Theros block are Thrill Kill Assassin and Rakdos Cackler. And then there's the sideboard, Duress, obviously, Doomblade, are both not block. This is a relatively straightforward aggro deck. We're running 12 versions of Savannah Lions, none of which are as good as Savannah Lions because they're playing black. But they all attack for 2. And this is pretty much the order they kind of roll in. Rakdos Cackler is sort of the best as just a 2/2 that can't block. If you desperately need a blocker, I guess you can play him leashed, but at that point you should probably just scoop. You pretty much, like, the number of times you need Rakdos Cackler to block, play him leashed, and still win the game is probably 1 in 20. That's a very unique board state. 4 Tormented Heroes. I just find that picture so funny. Like, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to maybe be Orpheus looking back, but I'm not sure. Tormented Hero, like, his drawback is the least permanent. He just comes into play tapped. We have limited ways of activating his heroic. Like, I think we have 12 different creatures total, 4 copies of each of 3 in the deck that can bestow, but they bestow for 4 and 5, so that doesn't happen very often. And we have 2 boons, so it is certainly possible to trigger the heroic on him, but it's not really why he's here. Gnarled Scarhide. Oh, look at that one-armed Minotaur. He's so borderline. Like, he is kind of bad. I mean, obviously there are, of course, times when you may wish to, when it might be right to bestow him on your opponent's creature to attack in for the win, stuff like that. But for the most part, he's just a very subpar Savannah Lion. Painseer. Painseer is not Dark Confidant. On the other hand, given how good Dark Confidant is, him doing a very poor impersonation of Mr. Mar probably still makes him worthwhile. Spiteful Return is actually better than I would think it would be. I mean, it's a 2-mana 1/1, but it functionally attacks for 3, and 2 of that's unblockable. So it's it bestows very well, especially on some of the higher power creatures. Like, on an evasive creature like Herald, or on a creature like Agent of Fates that they don't really want to, or Thrill Kill they don't really want to block, it becomes incredibly powerful. And it guarantees, if you bestow it, it pretty much guarantees it's going to do 4 damage, because it'll attack on what it's bestowed on, and then if they block and kill it, it'll then be on its own legs, and then can attack and hit him again. Thrill Kill is, I've seen a lot of decks running it, which is why it's in here. I'm not 100% sure how good this actually is. Like, it feels very weird. I mean, obviously you can play it leashed, and it can be a Deadly Recluse that doesn't have reach, or you can play it unleashed and force your opponent to, I mean, it's almost always going to trade up. There are very few 3/2s. Or, I mean, there's a couple 3/1s, but, like, unleashed, like, Center of Krufix and the 03 Defender that has hexproof, both can't profitably block it like they can most of the other creatures. Mogus Marauder is a finisher. Like, if you're casting Mogus Marauder, you're kind of hoping, I mean, functionally what he does is all of my creatures become Intimidate, and he has haste. He can lead to a big 4th or 5th turn, and potentially close out the game. It's possibly correct to have had 4 of him and no Agents of Fate, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, if Mogus Marauder, like, the times Mogus Marauder is better than Agent of Fates are going to be when Mogus Marauder wins the game. Almost every other time, I think Agent is better. Herald of Torment is kind of the reason why I want to play this deck. Like, he seems really, really good. Like, 3 mana for a 3/3 evasive threat at the cost of 1 life a turn. The decks where you care about the life a turn, he's a very good, like, he's still a functional blocker and threat, and will help you race them. And the decks where you don't care about the life a turn, 3 damage that flies over Mutavault is a lot. And Agent of Fates, I'm really not sure if he should be in the deck. He rides a really weird line. I mean, a 3 mana 3/2 is a borderline for aggressive, in my opinion. Like, if he was a 3 mana 3/4, like Brimaz, he'd be really good. If he had First Strike, he'd be good. He'd be much better. But, like, where he's at, he sits in a really weird spot. And his heroic is also sort of doesn't synergize amazing with control, or with aggro. It's much more of a control, but it can work for getting you ahead. So I'm not 100% sure that these Agents of Fates shouldn't be Mogus Marauders, though it's also possible the Mogus Marauders should be Agents of Fates. Why it's 2 and 2. 4 Thoughtseizes, because that's, I mean, I would say Thoughtseize is probably I would say Thoughtseize is one of the 2 or 3 cards that define Standard right now. I would say Mutavault, Thoughtseize, and Sphinx's Revelation kind of define Standard right now. Boon of Erebos is it's a cheap way to trigger heroic. It is a decent trick. It enables our creatures to trade up. Actually, it does not trade up. It enables our creatures to win in combat. So, I mean, it's also possible this card shouldn't be in here, and I should just be running Doomblade main deck. I'm not sure. But it does enable one of our creatures to survive a Supreme Verdict, which can be huge. And 4 Heroes Downfall. I was debating about main deck Doomblade versus main deck Heroes Downfall, and I figure there are so many Planeswalkers running around right now that the big Minotaur boot there is probably better off for us. Our mana base, we're running 18 Swamps, 2 Temples of Silence, and my logic is that we only have 8 3-drops that I actually would like to cast on turn 3. So I feel comfortable enough not running all swamps. Like, I feel comfortable enough that the come into play tab will probably only hinder us slightly less often than the Scry one helps us. And that's what we're going to be running today.